Back, Motor City Sports Talk. We in the building. Appreciate everybody for checking in. Appreciate the love, support. Keep sharing the videos. Best way to help the channel out. Let's talk about who is the most important Detroit Piston. I put a poll up, and I believe Christian Wood was leading last time I checked it. So check the community tab. I'll be doing more work there, polls and information there, sharing live streams and videos there. So I do appreciate everybody for checking in. And let's talk about it, man. I don't think the list is that long. You know, obviously, we may have to add a rookie to the list depending on where we landed in the lottery. History tells us that we lucky, you know, we lucky to be landed at number 5. But history tells us the Pistons is going to slide or stay the same before they move up, and that's Mason playing. But, you know, we talk about the most important Pistons. You know, you got people that might say Blake, people that might see Derrick Rose. I still thinking that, he in play mode. I still think it's people that think it's, you know, those guys. I mean, obviously, Diambo, Christian Wood, an important choice. You might have some people that think Luke Kennard. You may have some people that may think Bruce Brown. I'm in the minority in Detroit. I'm the only Detroit Piston that like Bruce Brown. I just think he got to add to his offense. But in today's NBA and in today's fans think you got to be able to shoot and, you know, and you got to be able to score. And that's the name of the game, is put the ball in the hole. And that's something he do got to improve on. But I like what he brings defensively. I like the way what he bring distributing the basketball. I like what he bring athletically. I just like to see him kind of, you know, probably get with Tony Parker, watch some Tony Parker film, work on his ball handling, work on getting to the rack finishing, developing the floater, then, you know, developing the mid-range game. And then eventually in his career, he could stretch it out to 3. That's what Rip did. Rip was a mid-range assassin even when it wasn't cool. And then eventually, you know, Rip Hamilton, you know, started to venture out to three-point land once he got comfortable at the mid-range game. So that's kind of want to see what kind of Bruce do what Tony Parker did. I think that's who we need to be watching and modeling his game after. And he way more athletic than Tony Parker, too. You know what I'm saying? He just want to play, man. Fuck it. He way more athletic than Tony Parker, too, man. So I see the potential. But people think because you can't shoot, it's over with. Jason Kidd was called Ace and Kidd because he couldn't freaking shoot when he got to the league. But I can tell you my most important player, you know, as far as I'll rank him for you. I think it's really 4 choices here. But I'll give you a 5th. Luke Kennard is my 5th option. He my 5th choice. I think I would move him while he got any value right now. He came into the game with knee issues. At some point, even if he kind of, with knee tendonitis, he kind of, you know, have a good stretch. Eventually, it's gonna catch up with him. I just don't think he'd be able to contribute as a full-time player. I think his spot in the league is gonna be a Vinnie Johnson or Lou Williams type of guy that had instant offense off the bench, and he got that ability because he can get buckets every way you need to get them. He can get it off the dribble. He can spot up and shoot them. He can create shots. He can create his own shot. He can finish at the bucket. Only thing he really ain't doing is really finishing above the rim. You know what I'm saying? So Luke will be my 5th. 4th would be Derrick Rose. We all know he kind of in a rush to get back to Chicago next season. But he was our MVP last year, so he got to lay on the list. I think he'd be here this year unless they choose to move him at the trade deadline as to whenever next season start. But he important, man, because he put asses in the seats. But I heard the NBA is not counting on any fans being in attendance next season. So whenever that starts, but you always got to hope for the prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So what Derrick Rose brings to the table, he's very, very important because he carried us last year. No Reggie, no Blake for real, no Luke for real. Derrick Rose was the attraction, dropping buckets in New Orleans. He was consistent when he was healthy. He still showed he was shifty. When some people say, "Oh, you know, he ain't what he used to be," I see what he used to be. It's just that he not you know what he used to be in large portions no more. Thanks to Tom Thibodeau, you know, running him in the ground. He can be, you know, the young Derrick Rose in spurts. You know what I'm saying? You could have made a case had we won more games last year that he could have been on an All-Star team or he could have been the most improved player. Comeback player of the year. So Derrick Rose has to lie on the top 5 somewhere. Matter of fact, I put him at 4. Blake Griffin could be number 3, just for the fact that he was all NBA 3rd team. He young, and this knee issue, he came in the league with it, but he got over it. And he showed stretches of being one of the best players in the league, making all-star teams, making playoff runs, even though him and Chris Paul was exchanging injuries. You know, when he was in Detroit, he's done more than Derrick Rose. That 2 years ago, he was the team MVP. Even though he was losing, 15 out of 17 games, he was straight balling and carrying the team on his back, and he wasn't getting a lot of support from Reggie and Dre. He started getting some support from Dre when he got injured, and he's hobbling up the court, and Dre started balling. But he's definitely probably the third most important player because we can't write him off. He may come back healthy, and really his game is not predicated on his athleticism anymore. Blake Griffin is now dribbling, handling the ball, shooting the ball. So one of the things that was a lot of people was optimistic about the three guys you already named on the list was how they play together, because we've been waiting for Luke Kennard to do his thing. We knew what Derrick Rose was going to bring in a small moderation, and we wanted to see what Blake was going to bring to the table. And to be honest, we didn't get to see that because Blake was injured, and then, Luke got injured, and then Derrick started to kind of tinker in, tinker out. But, until Blake shows that he's completely out of his prime physically, I still got to rank him as the third most important player. Now, there is a chance that Blake Griffin, he may get amnesty. And I've been saying that people talking about trading him. No team would be stupid enough to trade for Blake Griffin unless he shows something, not with almost $70 million left on his contract. But we may be able to amnesty Blake Griffin. And that would mean when the old CBA came up and they redid it, one team got the amnesty a player, and that means pay them their money, but it doesn't count against the cap. So if they have able to amnesty Blake, he could tag on with a championship contender like Portland, Brooklyn, or somebody like that, or the type of team like that add on. He may do so for vet minimum, but he still got a $75, $76 million from Detroit, but it don't count against our cap. So that's something that they may or may not discuss, with the new CBA coming up. So I don't think trading Blake Griffin is realistic until his final year of his deal or until he shows something next season. But second most important player, I'm going to go with Christian Wood. Even if they bring him back, I think obviously he's a little bit further along than my number one guy, which I'll get there in a minute. Yeah, I think he's important because, he's the modern day big man. Somebody tried to argue me on the last picture stream, he wasn't a five. At the end of the day, ain't no real dominant fives no more. I can see if we had Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem, Olajuwon dominating the paint. Right now, you got Karl Anthony Towns. He can get buckets, but he can't stop them from getting buckets. Joel Embiid is the most dominant big fella, five in the game. But guess what? He can't stay healthy and stay in shape. Anthony Davis, he lighting the ass. He can't never stay healthy for real. So, Jokic is a good big fella, but really he not going to dominate on the defensive end. So the one guy that you can dominate on both ends, Joel Embiid, he never in shape and he never healthy. So, like I said before, Christian Wood can play a five in this league. If Draymond can guard some fives, so can Christian Wood. So he got to put a little weight on. But, he's a modern day big fella. He can, he want to be on camera. He can score buckets. He can, he can defend. He held his own versus Gobert. He gave the business to Gobert. That's probably why he gave Christian Wood COVID-19. He held his own versus Joel Embiid last year. So he can be a five. At the end of the day, Draymond Green has really got the size of a three. He playing a 4 and a 5. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no real dominant big fellas in the league no more. Now, if you're Shaq, yeah, you need somebody like Jakob Porter to come in, or Elton Campbell, member, or Kevin Willis to be able to, or Ben Wallace to be able to stop Shaq. But ain't no more Shaqs and dominant big fellas in the league. But Christian Wood is my second most important player, and I think you can make a case for him being number one. But Seiko Diambo is my number one player because of his potential, man. I think, if he able to become, like I said in my other video, he able to become Pascal Siakam, I think his ball handling is going to be more key. I think the position he plays is more impactful in the league today. Maybe if it was 20 years ago, the center position would have been more impactful, but the guy that handled the ball, it's all about a ball handlers and wing and guards game. Like now, it's like watching the NCAA tournament. Ball handlers and wings are dominating the NBA. And Diambo to me is more important because I think his ceiling is higher than Christian Wood's, and his position in the NBA is ranked more higher than Christian Wood. I do think he's gonna become a ball handling three like Grant Hill. Not saying he's gonna be the primary ball handler, but I think he kind of be like Scottie Pippen, where him and Jordan or him and whoever next to Diambo, the point guard, to kind of share the duties. Even when Tayshaun was here with Chauncey, it was sometimes that the offense ran through Tayshaun Prince. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that he brought the ball up the court. So I can see Diambo in a role like Pascal Siakam and Giannis with just more of some point guard help than Giannis is getting in Milwaukee. We got Kyle Lowry in Toronto, but he's not a classic point guard. He's more of a spot up type of guy. So we'll see where the Pistons go with their point guard position. But that's my five, man. Luke Kennard at 5, D Rose at 4, Blake at 3, Christian Wood at 2, and number 1 will be Diambo as my top guy. He a little bit mad. He's a feisty little guy. So I appreciate y'all for checking in. Motor City Sports Talk. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you got business question, inquiry, response, your video questions. Keep sharing the videos. Want to make a donation? Cash App, PayPal, description. Best way to donate is donate to share the video. One time for the one time we done.